I have put myself in an emotionally difficult situation. I have no strength and seem to have no connection with reality. I feel that I am in a vortex from which I have to get out somehow. Bernard wrote to me and offered to meet me. He must have taken a liking to me. I fell in love with him immediately. We both live in Europe, but in different countries. We are divorced and have one child each. When we met, he already knew that he would soon leave for another country for work, but he didn't tell me that. Only every meeting he asked me if I would like to move somewhere else, to another country. I said no. We had about 6 meetings. At the third on Facebook meeting, he did not veiledly offered me sex, only sex. I refused. Then a few days later, he offered other conditions, and on the 5th penultimate meeting, he asked me if I would like to get married. I answered evasively. He again started asking, hypothetically, why I didn't want to move somewhere else. Turns out he was moving, and suggested that I might as well. My explanations why I cannot move: I have a child, a father, a job, documents. He was kind of incomprehensible. We had another meeting before he left with the same dialogues. He left. After 2 weeks, I wrote him that I love him and let's try something at a distance and then we'll see. Still, he was sitting in my heart. But he said he wasn't ready for a relationship right now, but I assumed that was his answer and said, I get it. I went about my business. The first month was still hard. I longed for him. I could only eat minimally, somehow work. I smoked. I paid little attention to the child. Then somehow I managed to get out of it a little. Probably, I could not suffer so if I realized that we were separated by fate. After all, he does not want a relationship at a distance, and I'm not ready to move. Well, we are too little acquainted to seriously sacrifice something for each other, while mutual sympathy is. I took care of myself, quit smoking, started doing sports at home every day, opened my own business, worked a lot on my appearance and on my sick head. And the pain went away. Bernard wrote to me several times during the year. The first time, 2 weeks after our last conversation, messages, likes, requests. I did not respond to anything, but I had a lot of energy and my life shone with new colors. I believe I had the right to not respond to messages since he refused to be in a relationship with me. But I was the first to make a big and open step. I confessed my love to him. A year and 4 months passed after the breakup, and then came an Instagram request from Bernard. I went to his page for the first time in all this time, and everything that I tried to forget came over me. Turns out he's moved to Norway, and he's doing well, and he's just as damn attractive. I loosened myself up in a week to a state I had been coming out of for a year. I texted him, replying to his last text. I told him I was fine. I wrote this message when I was flying to the sea with the baby. In the morning I saw a voice message, told me how he was doing. I told him how I was doing. He said that he imagines me next to him, that I was also sitting and telling him something. I wrote in my illusions that I would like to meet. For some reason it came out of me. He wrote that his son is coming to him in August, and he will be with his son for 2 weeks, and he invites me to come for 2 weeks to see Norway, to meet his son. Accommodation, transportation, and food are on him, he repeated twice, and I replied twice that I would stay in a hotel. I couldn't believe my eyes, my ears. I happily said I would take the tickets and write to him. Then, as it would turn out later, he was pissed off with my desire to stay in a hotel. He offered to call, was angry, and said his son's arrival was already in question, and he would text the dates later. But he didn't write the dates. I panicked, got cocky, and said I wanted to fly in the next weekend. He was fine with it. I wanted to see him. I wanted to see him soon. Before the trip, I managed to calm down and I went with the desire to just see him, to communicate. We met. The first 15 minutes he was tense. Then on the embankment, I threw a coin into the water and he came up and kissed me. He showed me the city. I lived with him. We walked a lot, talked, kissed, took me on a boat to the island, was very caring and tender as if there were not these months apart. But I did not start any conversations about us and our non-relationship. Our silence. The next day morning, I left on errands that I made up myself to give him a break. We had never spent so much time together. I got lost in the city. Then my work orders came in, and instead of the agreed upon 2 hours, I climbed for 3 hours. When we met at the store, he flew into the store past me. I can see that he is angry as hell, sarcastic, and said that his son will not come to him, and he will go to him. Then we walked home. And he thawed, warmed up. I communicated as a friend, did not interfere, and he somehow began to reach out to me. We went on a boat to the island. On the boat were children who surrounded me. I began to play with them and communicate with them in sign language. In general, I wanted not to sour and enjoy a new country and communication with a man I like so much. Bernard is very dominant and independent. I look at him like a painting in a gallery. There is something predatory and beautiful about him. After sex, he distances himself a bit, but here we were watching a movie before going to bed, and he moved so sharply to me, snuggled so. I also hugged him and thought that I was the happiest at that moment. I never started talking about us. I told him that I liked this and that about him and how nice he was. I was doing my own things too, reading, taking orders for work, and he would sit down at these moments and ask me what I was doing, what I was reading. At night he pulled me to him, hugged me, and fell asleep. It was probably the most emotional moment. I didn't even want to sleep. I just wanted to enjoy it. Sunday morning, I had to get up very early for my plane. I said I wouldn't wake him up. He had a plane at lunchtime to his son, but he woke up, walked around the house, then lay down. I got up, got ready, went to say goodbye to him. He was sitting on the bed and looking somewhere in the wall. I said thank you for everything. Goodbye. He did not answer anything, did not react, and sat silently. I silently went out. In the evening before going to bed, he asked me to send him pictures from the city where I had a transfer and a couple hours of free time. A day after I got home, I wrote to him. I wrote that I wanted to say something on the first day, but you told me to say it tomorrow. And I did, but you probably didn't hear when you hugged me at night. I said I loved you, but you were probably asleep. I don't know how to pick the right moment, but I was so happy. It was crazy. Thank you for everything, for your warmth and hospitality, for your hugs. I love you and I want to be with you, and I don't even care how or where. Maybe later in September or whenever it's convenient for you. We can meet again and look each other in the eye and talk about it. But he didn't talk about love. He answered that we will decide later. Now he is with his son and still in Norway. That is, the son came as planned. Just I was crossed out of the invitees. The second meeting was in September. When we met, the whole day he behaved like a man in love. I was spoiled and could not be happy. I brought him a lot of things he loves. The next day he introduced me to his boss. Bernard asked him to take us to the waterfalls. And it wasn't a very good trip. Maybe he was jealous of his boss because he asked me to take a picture with him or something else. I don't know, but for the rest of the day Bernard was glum and distant, and I was already down. In the evening I sadly confessed my love to him again. He didn't say anything. I feel bad. The next day we went for a walk. I decided for myself that this is it. He has no feelings, and I do not have the strength to think, what did I do wrong again? After the walk, we sat down in a cafe, and somehow the conversation started. We talked for 4 hours without stopping, and something in him changed. We talked about psychology, philosophy, literature, about him. Then he asked me what I liked about him. I answered that I just feel or see him as a nice person. There were a lot of different questions. I didn't want to answer all of them. Then he told me that he had a best friend, and when he got married and they started to see each other less, Bernard wrote to his friend that his wife was his wife because she took his friend. His look changed somehow. He says, "Let's all go home." All the way, on the road, on the bus, at home he kept me going, kissed me, cooked borscht, initiated sex several times. Early in the morning, I kissed him and flew away, he wrote, asked. He wrote the next day, thanked me for taking care of him with hearts. Here recently was at his place for the 3rd time in October, spent 3 days at his place. He insisted I stay for 3 days, not 2 like last time. At this meeting, he asked me if I loved him and wanted development. I said yes. He finally said he was amazing with me. He loves spending time with me and would like to come visit me, but marriage and a serious relationship was not what he wanted. I told him I understood him, and that was fine. We talked to him for a long time. After I said I understood, he started, as it seemed to me, to give a backhand, began to ask me questions about my husband, child, and how I am in the household, this and that, began to kiss me so much, hugging me, sniffing me. We spent another wonderful day and a half together. He was very loving, caring, attentive. He and I can chat non-stop for hours. He always initiates lots of sex and tactility. Asked me when I got back how my flight was. He went to see his son. I wrote to him a couple of times. We called. But then I was flooded. He didn't write. He didn't talk about the meeting. Then he disappeared. Didn't answer messages. Later he said he was sick. I began to feel guilty. Then we called. I asked him what the dates were. He asked when it was convenient for me. We agreed that I would fly in November. But I understand. It turns out that I go to a man who does not love me. Even though I love asking for a meeting. I only have the opportunity to come if I ask, as long as he does not mind. Now I sit and realize that I do not have any strength to go, to hear again that he does not want a relationship. If I write that I will not come, he will agree. I want to stop this somehow, but I don't know how. He is so much stronger than me. I am an ant compared to him. Now, I think just to say that I am sick, which is true, both physically and psychologically I am sick. Maybe don't write anything to him and just hope it goes away.